Hey guys, what's up? So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a loop, replaying those not so great moments from your past? Yeah, I know that feeling. So today, we're going to chat about how to deal with some of those sticky situations that just won't let go. Look, I get it. Sometimes life throws curveballs at you that leave you feeling like you've been hit by a truck. It's rough, right? But here's the thing. We're tougher than what we think. We've got this inner strength and power, and I'm going to show you how to tap into it today. So here's the deal. When we go through something really tough, it can really mess with our brains. It's like our brains get stuck on replay, and suddenly we're feeling lost, scared, and maybe even a bit alone. But hey, I've got great news. We can totally turn this ship around. Now, I know you're probably thinking, okay, but how? I've been through this so many times. Well, I've got these two powerful tools that I want to share with you today, and I've been using it for such a long time. Have you ever heard of Somatic Therapy? That's what I work in, and it's a really cool way of working through our emotions using our body. I know it might sound a bit weird, but trust me, this stuff can actually work and helps a lot of people. There's a lot of work that I do with my clients when they're with me, but I'm going to give you something that you can take away right now and use any time on your own when you find yourself overwhelmed, dealing with that co-worker or person who always just presses your buttons at the worst of times, or when things and plans just go sideways. Here's the kicker though. And I know that this might sound a little bit out there, but sometimes those really tough moments, they can actually be turning points to teach us something valuable in our lives. I'm not saying it'll be obvious right away necessarily, but when the dust settles and you look back, you might just find some sort of, in that horrible spot, a hidden gem in the mud, if you will, a hidden gem in the mess. Now, I'm going to share something personal here, so bear with me. When I was a kid, I went through some very rough stuff at school. My teachers, they'd actually get physical when I couldn't keep up with the work. I know that sounds really tough and heavy, and look, I'm not saying that everybody needs to go through something like that to be a better person, but here's the weird thing about difficult things. That awful experience kind of shaped who I am today. It's given me this deeper understanding of what it feels like when life just kicks you down. And now I use all that stuff that I've been through in a positive way to help other people climb out of their own dark spots. It's like if I hadn't been through all that, I might have never pushed myself to learn all the skills that I now use and know today. Crazy how life works, right? So here's the thing. As we work through our own difficult stuff, we start to realize that we're a lot tougher than we actually first realized. It's like finding your superpower you never knew you had. And every little step forward, that's a win, my friends. We need to celebrate the small steps we make forward as we dig ourselves out of our own difficulties. Now let me ask you something. Has life ever thrown you such a situation that knocked you off your feet, that it's still holding you back? Because here's the deal. If you're a human, and I'm guessing you are if you're watching this, then you've probably been through a lot of rough patches like we all have. But here's where it gets interesting. Sometimes those really tough experiences, they mess with your body in ways you might not even realize. It's like they leave what I call in somatic healing this imprint that goes on from your neck all the way down to your toes. Your nervous system goes out of whack, and suddenly you're not feeling like yourself anymore. All right, let me share a quick story over here with you. This person that I was working with recently, this poor guy, he was going through a really, really difficult separation from his ex. And you know what he told me? He said the rejection from his ex was like a cold sensation in his legs and stomach. Weird, right? But that's exactly what we're talking about over here when tuning into our feelings in our body. These feelings in our body, we call them imprints or orphan parts. It's like all our experiences that leave a mark on us, not just in our heads, but in our bodies too. And here's the cool part. When we work with these imprints, we can learn to feel them safely, so they don't knock us off our feet every time we come across something that triggers those imprints and causes us to go out of whack and just shut down and feel like it's the end. Sometimes we can even get these imprints to a point where we feel we've brought them to some kind of completion, like we've closed a chapter, or other times we at least know how to manage them better. So, we don't go into full panic mode or complete shutdown even when those feelings might pop up again because they get triggered by a certain event. Think of it like this. These imprints are like these little lost parts of ourselves that sometimes need some TLC to feel heard, understood, and to be able to express themselves. It's almost like they've got this separate personality of their own that is just calling out for help, and that calling out for help manifests in all sorts of ways that we react and get overwhelmed and get really upset. So once we give those parts of ourselves the attention and let them express themselves, we can start to make peace with them to the point that they either dissolve or disappear completely, or at least get to a level where they don't necessarily go away, but they're much more manageable with us, and we're less reactive to those parts of ourselves that usually, get really upset on. It's like unlocking these invisible chains that have been holding us back for too long. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. There's this thing called titration. Sounds fancy, right? I usually use this with my clients when helping them navigate those difficult situations. But it's actually really simple, and you can even do part of this on your own. It doesn't replace getting help and getting a therapist, but when you're in some difficult situations, you might find it really useful to try this. It's all about finding balance and staying present even when our emotions are going crazy. Titration is like, imagine you're dipping your toes in the cold water at the beach. You don't just jump in, right? Because it's going to be too cold for you. You go in, you might go out, you're letting your body adjust. You might start with your toes down to your ankles, if you can bear that at first, and then you might just stand there, or you might even go out back to the warm air on the beach if it's a nice hot summer day, and then you've got to try and go in, and then you might go a little bit deeper, and a little bit deeper, and maybe it'll go up to your knees. And your body's slowly but surely acclimating to that level of that experience of the water as it slowly encapsulates your body more and more. You're standing there, you'll take a few more steps. Maybe some of the waves will hit you, causing your body to be a bit more further exposed to the cold water as you go in deeper. It's up to your chest until eventually it's up to your neck. And what was first really unpleasant might still be unpleasant, or you might just get used to it like you are when you go swimming at the beach. At first it's a bit too cold, and then after a while it might even feel warm. That's what we're doing with our feelings and memories. We approach them. We step back a bit from them, then approach them again. It helps our body and mind process stuff without getting totally overwhelmed. The goal over here is to feel what's going on. You want to feel your feelings in your body and your thoughts, the sensations in your body, without getting caught up in them completely. I know it's easier said than done, right? But that's why we practice. It's like going to the gym. You want to build your emotional muscles up, build that emotional health up. You know how some people say you should always face your problems head on? Well, I don't think that's always the best advice. It's like telling someone who's afraid to jump in the deep end of the pool. Sure, there might be a bit of truth to it, but that's not the whole story. Here's the deal. When we're dealing with some really tough stuff, diving in can actually make things worse. It's like our brain goes, nope, and it shuts down completely. That's not exactly what we're going for, right? So what do we need to do? We need to take it slow, bit by bit by bit. This way we can deal with our feelings without getting overwhelmed. Now, don't get me wrong. Feeling our feelings is important, but staring them down like you're in the Wild West showdown, that's not the best move, especially when we're talking about traumatic memories or super stressful situations. So here's what we do instead. We work with our experiences in smaller chunks. It's like eating an elephant. Not that you want to eat an elephant, but you get the point. One bite at a time, one small bit at a time. This way we can handle the tough situations without spiraling into a pit of anxiety or despair. And here is a great tool to use next time you're tempted to binge on bad news or let mean comments really get to you. I want you to try this instead. As I said, titration. You step in, feel what you're feeling for a bit, and then you step out, take a breather, come back to the present moment. It's like hitting the pause button on a movie. It gives you a chance to collect yourself and figure out your next move. This approach helps us take action that comes from a clear mind, not from a knee-jerk reaction or intense emotions. Because let's face it, acting on strong emotions or old triggers, that just leads us to a whole mess, both inside and out. Let me give you some more details here. Picture this. You're feeling all these emotions, right? Instead of trying to ignore them, which never works anyway, you acknowledge them for a moment or so. Here's the magic part of what you do when you're, so to speak, stepping out of the situation. You want to almost turn around. It's the second tool here called orienting. You literally turn your attention to what's around you. Look at the colors in the room, look at the shapes of the furniture, maybe that weird knick-knack on your shelf. It's like hitting a reset button in your whole body and brain. And here's another cool move. Feel your feet on the ground, wiggle your toes in your shoes. Sounds silly, right? But trust me, it works. It reminds your body to get present of where you are, where we are in this moment, and out of our heads. We're feeling where we are at this present moment rather than just getting carried away and ruminating with our thoughts over and over again. Now, if you can get outside, I don't care if you live in the middle of a bustling city or out in the sticks, doesn't matter. Just step outside, take a deep breath, and really look around, listen to the sounds, smell the air, even if it's just the car exhaust. At least it's different. It's like giving your brain a mini vacation, a temporary time out, if you will, just till you get re-regulated and calm again, where you get back to homeostasis. The key here is finding anything, I mean anything, that brings you back to the here and now. It's all about stopping that hamster wheel in your head from spinning out of control. And here's a cool trick. Start paying attention to what's happening in your body when you do feel overwhelmed. Where you do feel it. Is it your stomach? Is it your chest? And once you spot it, try these two tools that we've talked about today of titration and of orientation. It's like changing the channel in your brain. You shift your focus to a space. Think of it as your personal chill-out zone. It's like a cozy cocoon that you slip into anytime you need a breather. And then you can come back to it once your body's calm and you've recharged your batteries. That's when you're ready to face the world again and you titrate back into it. But this time you're coming back from a stronger place. After you've taken a retreat back in the warm weather, you put your feet back in the cold water again and you go deeper and deeper. Now I've got to be real with you. I'm not promising any miracles over here. This is just the latest info on dealing with trauma and anxiety. It works for a lot of people, but everyone's different. And of course, a disclaimer over here. I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm just sharing what I know, and I want to help other people like you watching this right now. And as always, please consult your health practitioner before deciding on any path of treatment that you want to follow. So let's bring this all home. Dealing with tough situations and healing from trauma, it's all about tapping into that inner strength we all have. It means facing our pain, asking for help when we need to, because we all do at times, and believing that you can get better. You have to have a positive outlook, or at least tell yourself that. And it might not feel like that right now, but trust me, we can handle whatever life throws our way. We've got this. If you're a human being, then I believe in you, because you were put there to rise above these situations. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share your experiences. And remember, if you're struggling, that's totally okay. And it's totally, because that's normal. We all struggle. And it's good to reach out for support. There's no shame in the game of reaching out for support from others. Oh, and if you found this helpful, please hit the subscribe button for more videos on how to take care of your emotional well-being and keep growing as a person. We're all in this together, right? And the most important thing to remember is that the next time you're in a toxic situation or with a toxic person or in a difficult, seemingly impossible situation, there's two things you can do here. One, stop and use that titration by first going away out of the current situation, and two, orientating yourself in the current environment, looking at an object in front of you, get really present to temporarily take you out of the toxic thoughts into a more present, safer situation. Just be present and aware of your surroundings in general, as well as your breathing. I do this when people say things that I get totally angry on and lose it. And what I want to do is I want to get grounded and present rather than reacting and shooting from the hip. Then I'll slowly titrate back to the present and often look at it from a more healthy, objective and less subjective angle than I did before. And it just makes my overall approach to difficult situations more strategic with better outcomes. I'm telling you, this stuff really does work in your relationships and your work and anyone else around you that's in a sticky situation with you. And I just want to thank you for being here and thank you for sharing this with people you love, because what a waste it would be to go through your life and not tap into your inner strength of who you already are. And I know that based on what you've learned today, you've got a roadmap to help you do that. So I hope you take everything that you've learned over here and put it into action, which can only be better for you, add better quality in your life and those you love and those around you. And one more thing, in case no one's yet told you, by the mere fact that you exist, you count, you're divinely loved, and you're an integral part of this divine journey we're all on called life. And now, you don't have any more excuses, my friends. You can wake up every day with these two simple steps based on the research to really expand and excel in your own life and relationships to make them better, calmer, and more meaningful. Also, I want to thank you for subscribing. It really means a lot to me, and it's one way that you give back to me, and it helps me bring you cutting-edge knowledge at zero cost to you. And a second thank you for sharing this, because that one way you'll make your life better is by supporting people around you with information that can empower them to change their lives and yours. And thirdly, I know you want more incredible advice, so please check out the other episodes over here.